All that ranting from last night, perhaps it was my energy source getting me ready for the unfortunate news that we got today about Joey Daccord.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Breaking news, Seattle hockey fans. Joey Daccord not with the team on this back-to-back road trip. He's being evaluated. However, ESPN and my company, CBS Sports, are reporting that he is on the injured reserve. My name is Erica L. Ayala, your host of Locked On Kraken, accredited media member for Milano Cortina. That's right. This will be my second Winter Olympics coming up in just 3 months. And as I mentioned, also a contributor over at CBSSports.com and CBS Sports HQ. Got the news today. It's a back-to-back. So I had told you in the last handful of episodes, I wanted to see Joey Daccord rest anyway. Seems like he's being evaluated for an injury. That's definitely not the news that we wanted to hear. I've had a hunch and an inkling that all wasn't right on the goaltender front for a long time. If you're an everydayer for Locked On Kraken, if you're an OGer for Locked On Kraken, then you know I call it my little auntie vibes. My spidey senses were telling me something wasn't right with goaltending. And lo and behold, Joey Daccord being evaluated. Now, of course, we don't know what that will mean, what that will signal for the rest of the season. But it's something that just, I hope it's something that was not caused or exacerbated because from what I've noticed, the Seattle Kraken have been hesitant to utilize all three goaltenders, even though that was something that we were being told was going to happen. And it's a part of a long history of the Seattle Kraken talking about a quote unquote equitable split in net and not being able to get there. But, you know, I posted a little something for social media because I was pretty upset about this. Again, if you listen to the show, then you know I've been talking about this as a possibility. Really, since I started the show, we've seen indicators that the Seattle Kraken had a little bit of a problem with goaltenders being injured. Not just goaltenders being injured, because hockey is hockey, but goaltenders being injured and maybe not believing in or even having a secondary plan. Then there have been times where the secondary plan or even the third plan, right, ended up being the thing that saved us, aka Martin Jones in season number 2. But here's my reaction to the news. Injured reserve. Injured reserve. What have I been saying? What have I been saying about I went on a rant on yesterday's episode. Here's a rant coming. I was not going to go into this, but now I'm going to do it. I hope you are prepared for an epic, and I do mean epic, meltdown that I am going to have on an emergency show because, oh my goodness, I'm telling you, I've been saying it. Injured reserve for Joey Daccord. I'm not happy. I am not happy because I have been worried about what happens. And it's not just me, because I mentioned it, I think, on yesterday's episode. What happens if Joey gets injured? What is our plan? Are we going to be able to sustain this third place that we're in right now, knowing that we're really not playing the most consistent hockey, we're not playing our best hockey, and we're not getting things done offensively? But now you have a situation where the one goaltender in the last, now going into 3 seasons, the goaltender that's been the most consistent for us, has always also been the most overworked, now has an early season injury on top of Jared McCann, who we hear is not necessarily progressing. Riker Evans is day-to-day reported to be on this road trip. You still got Freddie Gaudreau out, and you have guys that just made their way back, like Capo Caco. Injuries are a part of hockey. We know that, including to star players. We know that. It's not so much the injury to Joey Daccord. I don't know when he sustained it, how he sustained it. We're waiting for more information. We're going to hear from Lane Lambert shortly. He'll give us what we do know. It's just that it's the same old song. Now, maybe Philipp Grubauer and Matt Murray will step up in a huge way, a la Martin Jones in, in season 2. But it's so frustrating. It's so freaking frustrating. I want you to hear first Lane Lambert talk about the injury, what he knows, what he doesn't know. And then later in his remarks, he talked about something that I said, I don't know what the answer is, but he said that there's good communication, high spirits, professionalism between the 3 goaltenders. That hasn't been an issue, but it's something that I've wondered and that I was going to follow up on. Lane Lambert now being asked that question today on the road. So, ahead of this game against the Winnipeg Jets. But, again, the breaking news for today, November 8th, 2025, Joey Daccord, not with the team on this back-to-back road trip. The team will return for a game. I believe it's Tuesday. But this could signify a big injury, especially if it's long-term. We'll hear from Lane Lambert. And then also I'll go back to what I had said, pulling receipts, because again, on Locked on Kraken, I've been following this story every season since the inaugural season. This bonus episode of Locked on Kraken brought to you by our friends at Indeed. You just realized your business needs to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posting on other sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs puts your post at the top page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. Now, I've been in a position where, thought I had someone lined up and then scheduling didn't work or it wasn't a good fit. And then you have to start that hiring process all over again, sometimes in the middle of your heavy season, in the middle of a big project. And you want to be able to find the right people, but also do it as efficiently and expeditiously, there you go, as possible. And now you can speed up that hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast, Locked on Kraken. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Emergency episode here. That was a terrible accent. I don't even know really what I was going for there. Emergency episode of Locked on Kraken here. I'm your host, Erica L. Ayala, also the founder of Black Rosie Media. And my company will be boots on the ground for the women's and men's ice hockey tournament. And of course, my company is how we bring you Locked on Kraken, including the contributions that we get from Jordan Dabney, Ava Wood. We have some other folks also that are helping on the Women's Hockey Report side. So go check out Black Rosie Media. We're working on a new website, which I'm super excited about. And once that's launched, you'll see that we'll have more Kraken specific content that we're able to post as well, especially for those who like to read as opposed to just listen or watch podcasts. Joey Daccord being evaluated. We've seen reports that he is on injured reserve, but let's hear what Lane Lambert had to say. No style gel, or I don't know if he uses oil or style gel, but he was kind of letting it flow today. Lane Lambert, kind of like me. I've got all my flyaways that don't fit squarely under my hat. But here's Lane Lambert talking about what he knows so far about the injury to Joey Daccord.
Joey Daccord is not here. What can you share about what he is working through, what kind of injury, and maybe where it came up?
Nothing more than you have been shared with already, right? He's not with our team. He's day-to-day, so we'll see what happens after the weekend.
Do you have an update on Jared McCann at all?
I do not.
What's been kind of the conversation, the message from you and in the locker room about how you want to rebound coming into this game after that last game?
Well, I think,
so he doesn't have much to go off of. But, he also referenced what it's like to work with these 3 goaltenders. And now we're going to have to see that plan of action. So here's Lane Lambert again talking a little bit about that.
We know.
In terms of the goalies, the two guys you do have here, both experienced, what have they impressed you with in the early season? They haven't played too much, but
Yeah. Well, it's not easy for them. They're not playing a lot. They're working, their work ethic. There's been no complaining whatsoever. I think they've done very, very well as a tandem. It's an unusual situation, and I think they've handled it both like professionals. Now they'll get a chance to play here, and we're looking for them to play well.
I mean, again, that's really all you can do. Part of my rant yesterday was going off on what it's like to be a backup and how the system is kind of set up to fail either at your job or kind of, it really puts you in a tough spot because your reality is so different than what a lot of other people's reality is as they're trying to cut their teeth at elite level sports. But we'll get into that coming up. But Lane Lambert saying a few things. One, that the communication is good. There's professionalism through and through. Philipp Grubauer, I think, handled everything as professionally as you could. When he was directly asked, he gave his response, which sometimes he holds back, but he does not hold back on the topic of he needs more repetitions. He needs more consistency to be the best goaltender he can be, which again makes a lot of sense. But coming up, I will give you a snippet of that rant. If you want to watch the full episode, that was one that posted kind of overnight. So you want to check that out because I go into a lot of things, including if we get to a situation where we don't have reliable goaltending or we are having too many injuries, how do we stay away from that messy middle? Is this going to be a season 2 kind of an opposite where depending on how long Joey is out, is this a situation where we have to kind of curb our expectations and reevaluate what success looks like in this season? I honestly, I think we just need to find out more. I know that's the easy thing to say, but there's so many variables and a lot of them I've already been talking about because I could see that this was a challenge and I just don't understand why, knowing the history of this team, why we would bring on 3 goaltenders and then not use them until we needed them, which I guess it's great that you have them, right? But also I don't know this for sure. This could have been an injury that was inevitable, a freak accident, who knows? But if there was any chance that this injury, as small or major as it may be, for Joey Daccord could have been prevented because of rest, and I have no way of knowing from what we know now if we'll ever know that, right? But it's just like it's been a trend, it's been a theme, and you bring on 3 goaltenders presumably because you know that, but then you don't use them. It's baffling to me, but let me know in the comments how you feel on social media at Locked On Kraken. Our Twitter account is back active. Joe Dabney handles that. I don't look at Twitter at all. So if you want to reach me directly, lockedonkraken@gmail.com. You can also send your comments, of course, right on social media at Locked On Kraken. That's on Twitter. Joe will relay those messages on Instagram, on TikTok, of course, Locked On Kraken on YouTube. And if you are not down with that, again, you can use the Gmail account. You can also join our subtext group. It's been kind of quiet, but we're about to ramp it up again, along with some of the ad-free things that we're doing. So if you want to text me directly, text 918-731-3154. You'll get a 14-day free trial of our subtext, our Locked On Kraken Insiders program that, again, is going to be revamped really soon and just ahead of the Olympics, so you're not going to want to miss that. Coming up next, I will reprise by way of replay my rant, a snippet of my rant, specifically the part where I talk about goaltending, because again, unfortunately, this is something that we saw as a possibility because we've seen it happen before. And I was starting to see that I'm not sure if this team really does have a plan or if they're ready to execute the plan they keep telling us that we have. But now they're put in a situation where they don't have a choice. So how is the team going to deal? Well, I guess we'll find out back-to-back here before the Kraken come back home. We'll get into that and more. We'll get into that as we close today's episode of Locked On Kraken. Bonus episode of Locked on Kraken brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Even if you missed the start of a game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making a late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Joey Daccord, right here in Seattle, being evaluated. Injury. We don't have much. We heard from Lane Lambert, but let's hear what I had to say on the last episode of Locked on Kraken. Yes, we want to win games, and we want to make sure that the guys that can help us, who are healthy right now, that they have the confidence, that they have the repetitions, that they have the feel, the touch, especially as goaltenders, to get it done. We keep, here's a rant coming. I was not going to go into this, but now I'm going to do it. I'm taking the gloves off. We kept Philipp Grubauer. We did not have not exercised an opt-out because we want Philipp Grubauer, right? We bring on a third goaltender to lighten the load, and yet Joey Daccord is still seeing the majority of the starts. Now, I don't know, am I being ridiculous here? Obviously, other people are seeing it as well. Because on the one hand, a part of me is like, Erica, it's so early in the season. We don't even know, some health related, what the lines combinations are. I kind of think we do. But anyway, when we have everyone available, I think we know what we want to see out there. So I'm like, all right, it's early, give Joey a chance and, all of this stuff. But knowing the history of this franchise and knowing that we kept 3 goaltenders, I just don't understand why we're not seeing different, that we're not seeing things change enough, at least for my liking. Philipp Grubauer, last season, when he was in the AHL, when he came back from the AHL, when he came to camp this year, he said he needs repetitions. He needs to know that he's going to get starts. I'm kind of reading between the lines there. I'm sure he wants to know when he's going to get starts, but he needs to have the repetitions. He said it's not a confidence thing, it's a consistency thing, and he didn't consistently get in net. Now, he didn't maybe always deserve to get in net, but you have to, similarly to what Jaden Schwartz said, similarly to what we've been asking Joey Daccord to do, you have to flush it. You have to flush those games. And how can you realistically trust and rely on backup goaltenders to be ready when you need them unless you give them repetitions? And it's like, oh, well, that's the job. And blah. I'm here to tell you, as someone who has been a backup at the highest level that I've ever played, which was college for me, I know as a reserve, that's what we're told to do. And I'm here to tell you, it's a load of poo. Because we are expected as reserves to be our best when we're not given the opportunity to work through our worst. So I have philosophically an issue with how we do that. I think the teams that are most successful have more of an equitable split, but most importantly, they communicate very clearly how players are going to be utilized. And you know what? I'm sitting here as a podcast host. I am not a part of the Kraken organization. I am not, in the locker room outside of media availabilities. So maybe this has been communicated. But it just seems like if Philipp Grubauer is being told how things are going to work this season, it certainly seems a lot different than what he was hoping it would be. And it's probably a little bit off from what we need it to be. All of that being said, if Matt Murray and or Philipp Grubauer aren't 100% healthy, aren't 100% game fit, or just aren't mentally locked in, then yeah, it falls on Joey. But then isn't that on the organization to figure out how to get their goaltender, their starting goaltender, not to mention the rest of the team, the support that we need? I think so. I think that's part of the I've been saying this for a while, at least since season 2. I've been breaking this down. I hope that I'm stating what is obvious here, but I realize that I did not say it up front. We hope that things are good for Joey, not just from a team perspective, but on the human level. I've talked about Joey Daccord. I think he is a bright spot on this team for so many reasons, including how he is as a person. Every interaction that I've ever had with him has been professional, but also warm and human. And he's thoughtful. He is attentive. Shane Wright, he and Shane Wright, it's not that the other guys aren't this, but their connection in the moment of being really focused, especially when you're able to talk to them one-on-one, like they're very focused, they're listening actively, and it's a true conversation. It's just a different vibe. It's hard to describe and explain, but if you've seen my interviews with Shane and with Joey, they're the ones that will say after the interview, okay, thanks Erica, thanks for your time, good to talk with you. Joey before an interview will be like, hey, how are things going, good to see you again. It's just those things that, again, I guess what I'm saying is you don't always expect it. You don't always think that guys are going to recognize you or remember who you are, especially for me, when I come in and out here. But the guys that do, at least in the moment, be like, oh yeah, I'm speaking to Erica, just as and maybe I go in tomorrow and they're like, hey, nice to meet you. But there's just a way that you communicate when you acknowledge another person that is just, it's noticeable, especially because the times when I'm speaking to athletes, it's so transactional. It's, anyway, I hope Joey's doing well. One of my favorite guys to watch, to talk to, want good things for him. So we'll see how the evaluation goes. I just had to, of course, get back to some things that I've been talking about, but the Kraken, it's not an excuse, because again, these are things that the Kraken as an organization should have been prepared for. We'll see how prepared they are. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, and then they're like, no, we got this. And that would be great. That would be phenomenal if that's the case. I just have to go off of what I'm seeing and what I'm not seeing. And so now it's a chance where the Kraken have their hand forced. But when Joey is healthy, when all 3 goaltenders are healthy, are we going to learn any lessons from this right now? And will we see more of that equitable split? What are the upsides of that? What are the downfalls of that? I don't know. And what does that mean for the rest of the team? Well, if your goaltending is going to be inconsistent for one reason or another, I guess that means that the skaters have to really hunker down, and you have to really hold your weight. And that hasn't always been the case historically for the Seattle Kraken organization. I'm not just talking about Joey Daccord. I'm talking about in the 4 seasons prior and now going into the start of season 5. Let me know your comments. I really want to hear what y'all think about this. Obviously, I have some thoughts. Again, everydayers and OGers, I've been talking about this quite literally for years because the scenario seems to be the same. And maybe it's just one of those things I over focus on. Because of course, goaltending is, especially when you have hurt goaltenders, it puts you in a very difficult situation. But I don't know. do other NHL teams have this much concern in a 4-year going on 5-year span, or do they figure it out? Because to me, it seems like we maybe could have figured this out, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Game tonight. I'm not going to do a post-game full show, but should have a reaction. I'll be watching the games tonight and tomorrow. Of course, also keeping eyes on the rivalry series, which we talked about on the Women's Hockey Report. Go check that out on the Locked On NHL channel, including that. There were lots of speculation why the announcement that we got for the name, logo, jerseys, well, not really jerseys, just the name and logo for the Seattle Torrent and the Vancouver Golden Eyes, if they had those, which was confirmed by Megan Turner months ago, then why did we get the announcement of their inaugural jerseys just the week before? I don't understand still. But yeah, we talk about that. Lots of hockey question marks and curiosities here. Lots of things where I'm like, all right, I guess that's what we're going with. Either way, a reminder, be kind to yourself, extend that kindness to others when you're able, and we hold fast, we stay true, and loud and proud we say, let's go Kraken and let's go Torrent. This is the Locked On Kraken podcast hosted by yours truly, Erica L. Ayala, and I will catch you on the next episode. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment, all of the things, and follow us also on social media. Peace out, everybody.